This is my Rodecaster Pro. This is the new Rode Connect 1.1 software. Please don't tell my wife I spent so much money. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am Joe Finley, aka Miscast Joe, and today we're talking about the big update to the Rode Connect software. We are on 1.1. The software just came out in April-ish. I don't remember the exact date, but it was fairly recently, and people have been using it and testing it and reviewing it, and they had a lot to say about what they'd like to see in the software, and Rode came back really fast. Here's their first update. Let's take a look. So you can see here, I've got the software up. I don't have the Rode NT USB Mini yet. We're working on getting that for you guys though, so hopefully I'll be able to review it sooner than later. We'll see, fingers crossed. But you can see the basic build of the software here. We have the system and the virtual sources up. They are routable. You can put anything into them. You can put Spotify, you can put a browser source, a Zoom call. The sky's the limit. But the really important thing is what they've added over here. We have a sound pad, and it's the same sound pad that you saw on the Rodecaster Pro. So this is really interesting. So it comes with preloaded sounds, so we can get some laughter. Okay, stop that. And you can get more accurately from me. Or when it goes really wrong. So those are all pre-built in, but you're not stuck with what they give you. You can put in literally anything you want. And on top of that, you have 8 banks of 8. So you can see these ones are all empty right now. But for people who can't do multiplication, that would be 64 total sounds that you can have. We're talking music beds, little stingers, interview clips, your own sound effects, whatever you would use in a podcast or a stream, you can add them here. And it's really, really simple. Let me just show you. So boom, we got some of my sound effects up here. And then I'm just going to drag sound effects directly onto the pads. And it's that easy. That's it. So that's how you introduce them. But how do you use them? Okay, other than just clicking on them and letting them play, there's a lot of control going into each one. So let's go to the sad trombone here and right click. And so you can see you can rename it whatever you want. You can color it any way you want. You might color code your interview clips or your music. Or I'm not the boss of you. You can do what you want, but that's where you do it. And then we have some play styles down here. So we have toggle, which is you click it and it plays. You click it again, it stops. We have hold, which means as long as I'm holding down the button, it will continue to play. As soon as I let go, it'll stop. And then we have one shot. So that's kind of like, you know, when you're doing like a DJ air horn or something, that pew, 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 it's going to start from the beginning every single time you click the button rather than stop it or wait till it ends or anything like that. And then we have the loops. We can just turn that on or off. Basically, all that is for us is the sound going to play from the start once it finishes. You might want to do that if you just have like a really quick music clip or something that you want to use for a be right back screen or something like that. That would be kind of one of the ideal uses for it. Other than that, I don't know that I would use it for, you know, a random sound effect or an interview clip or something like that. And then you have here, so you have continue and you have replay. So what this means is when you have stopped the clip using the toggle, it will either then, when you press it again, it'll either start back from the beginning or continue where it left off. So if I go to continue, and play, and then stop it, and then play again, it continues back on. This thing covers almost every use case you can think of as far as playback modes are concerned. Now, if we move on to just over here, we're going to add a couple of other new features. So if I right click here, you can see up here where it says sound, we've got all the expletives, and we've got trash talk. And so all we have to do is click on here, and there's our swear button, and we click here, and there's our, whoop, I made it swear again, whoops, there's our trash talk button. So, what these things do, the swear button is what you, I was saying nice things to you guys there, so I apologize for that happening. But anyways, as long as you hold that down, you could bleep people or do any of that stuff. The trash talk is a little bit different. So the system has a mix minus built into it, just like the Rodecaster Pro does. Very good for interviews and stuff like that. It prevents a feedback from going through the system as you're feeding your audio to a person that you're talking to in an interview or something like that. It's not feeding their audio back to them, so you can hear them, but they can't hear themselves. And what this button does, as long as you hold it down, it mutes all sources from the Rode Connect from them, so they'll hear nothing. And that's why they call it the trash talk, I guess. You can hold that down and you can all trash talk him, I guess. You know, be kind. Let's not bully the people we interview, or you're not going to get any interviews again. I don't really have a personal reason that I would use something like that, but I'm sure a lot of you out there do. So I'm just editing this video right now, and I finally realized there is a perfect use case for the trash talk. When you have a chat when you're playing a game or something like that, say you're playing Among Us, you can mute them, they can't hear you, and then you can say, oh, I'm the imposter, blah, blah, blah. That's a very good use case. Let's get back to the video. And just looking around, we have the features that we had before. We have our record feature, which is still an amazing thing. I would really love to see the Wavelength software add this. And then, obviously, you can control your faders. And you have now a solo feature. So when you set up this software, you'll have your Rode NT-USB minis all plugged in. And you'll have to drag each individual one into a slot, 1 to 4, depending on how many you actually have. Whoever's has been assigned to slot 1 has the ability to monitor the broadcast through this feature. So when you click solo on something, what that does is it mutes out everything else but that source. You're just isolating an individual source. You can click solo on multiple sources too, so you can just exclude certain sources. You can hear them. They're still all going out to your stream, or they're still all recording to the podcast, but you're just hearing what you need to hear at that point. It's a great feature. It's on many mixers. It's on the Rodecaster Pro, and I highly, highly recommend it. Actually, something I do on the Rodecaster that I could theoretically do on this too is for my podcast, Miscast Commentary, we watch movies, and we obviously don't want to play the audio from the movies as we go because we'd get sued. But we need to be able to hear it in our headphones. So what I do is I feed it into my mixer, and then I mute it and solo it. And then I also solo our mics and the sound pad and all the other things that we're going to use so we can hear everything that we need to hear. But we can also hear the movie, and it's not going out to anybody because I've muted it and soloed it. So I know that's something that not everybody needs to do, but the ability to solo is really important for somebody who wants to get, really good control over their broadcast. And I think that the thing that was most exciting about their announcement with this upgrade was the fact that they announced that it's the first of many planned upgrades. In their video, it actually showed 4. So I'm hoping that it was 4 and that it wasn't just some kind of abstract image to say, hey, we have more planned. So that tells me that a lot of cool things are on their way from Rode Connect, and I'm very excited about it. I'm hoping that one of the features that they add in a future update is to support more mics than just the Rode NT-USB Mini. They have the Rode NT-USB, and perhaps they have some other mics that are USB as well. I don't entirely know. But it would be pretty cool that if they did something like the Wavelength, where yes, you have to have one to actually use the software. It's a free software, so I get it. Maybe one day if they had a paid software where you could add any mic you want, that would be cool too. But in the meantime, while it's a free software, it would be nice that you just have to have one of their mics. It gets pretty expensive because this free software is at least the price of one Rode NT-USB Mini, probably 2, depending on whether you're podcasting or streaming. But if they did something like the Wave, where you just have to have the one, and then you could add other microphones, regardless of what company it is, I think that would be a really big deal for a lot of people who might want to actually use this software, but don't want to shell out the money for up to 4 Rode NT-USB Minis. What excites me the most about this, though, is it feels kind of like the race is on right now. You've got the Wavelength software, which is probably the premier software for a USB microphone. Then you've got this one, and Epos has one. We did that video a while back where we looked at that, and it needed a lot of work, but it was the only one that had an EQ control at all. Now the Rode Connect has sort of that, where they have presets in place, where they have the oral exciter and the big bottom and all those Aphex features that they feature in the Rodecaster Pro, noise gate and all that kind of stuff. Those are all great, but everybody has kind of a piece of the puzzle, and I want to see who's going to get there first. Is the Wavelength going to add recording and perhaps an EQ? Is the Rode Connect going to add more routable sources, and an EQ. Will Wave take the idea for the sound pad? Or will somebody come out of nowhere and do it? Is HyperX going to come out with a software that does all these things? Will Razer do it? I'm really excited about what this means for the USB microphone, because the USB microphone makes podcasting and streaming so much more accessible to the average person who maybe doesn't know a lot about XLR technology and how to use a mixer and all these kind of things. These programs that complement these USB mics are really simple. People who really want to do this, you know, as a hobby, as a career, or whatever, this is a great first step for them. So while I remain excited to see what happens next, we're going to wrap it up here. As always, if you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe, click the bell. We got lots more videos coming, and until next time, get to work.
Look at what station's got to work with here. He's using from a 19 whatever year they're in home hardware. I'm sure if he could have went to the future like Buddy Bad Guy there, he could have found all the gear to make a super killer robot.
Todd, argument one. You just you crushed that argument.